going on a memorial resolution, please take your seats. The chair recognizes Representative Gonzales.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider House Resolution 642 as we honor the life of the University of Texas Longhorn legend and Director of Bands Emeritus, Vincent R. DiNino.
Is there objection to suspension of the rules? The chair hears none, and the rules are suspended. The chair lays out the following resolution. The clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 642 by Gonzales, whereas family, friends, and members of the University of Texas at Austin community are mourning the loss of Vincent Reardon DiNino, Director of Bands Emeritus at UT, who passed away on September 9th, 2014 at the age of 95. And whereas born in Manhattan, Kansas on October 25th, 1918, to Leah DiNino, a concert pianist, and Frank DiNino, a professional clarinetist, Vince DiNino developed a passion for music at an early age. He established a dance band while attending high school and went on to earn a bachelor's degree in music education from the University of Minnesota and a master's degree from North Dakota State University. Whereas during his junior year of college, Mr. DiNino married his high school sweetheart, the former Jane Dahlgren, and over the course of their 67 rewarding years together, they were blessed with 2 daughters, Dina and Carmen. After Mrs. DiNino's passing in 2008, Mr. DiNino was fortunate enough to find love again, and he exchanged wedding vows with Timothy and Sloan. And whereas Mr. DiNino answered his nation's call to duty as a member of the U.S. Army, serving for 2 years during World War II. After returning to civilian life, he began performing in New York City and Los Angeles as a French hornist and accompanied such legendary artists as Frank Sinatra, Percy Faith, Perry Como, Stan Kenton, and Tommy Dorsey. He later returned to Minnesota, where he worked as director of bands at Alexandria High School and headed to the district's music program. And whereas in 1955, Mr. DiNino was hired as director of the UT Longhorn Band, which at the time was managed by students and an amateur conductor. Over the course of his 30-year tenure, the ensemble grew from 70 members to more than 400, performed at the 1974 Super Bowl and at the inauguration ceremonies of Presidents John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson, and traveled across the nation and to South America. Moreover, Mr. DiNino helped integrate the program to include women and minorities, and he also selected the Western-style burnt orange uniforms that have since remained the group's signature look. He was promoted to director of UT Bands in 1969 and served in that position until 1985. And whereas Mr. DiNino's contributions to UT continued long after his retirement, he and his wife, Jane, were co-founders of the Longhorn Alumni Band, the largest alumni band organization in the country, and they served on its board of directors for many years. In addition, the couple assisted in funding numerous scholarships and establishing an endowed chair for the director of the university's bands and an endowed professorship for the director of the Longhorn Band. Mr. DiNino also made a number of guest appearances with UT ensembles as director of bands emeritus and frequently attended home football games in support of his beloved Longhorns. And whereas earning well-deserved recognition for his extraordinary talent and his dedicated efforts in behalf of UT, Mr. DiNino was inducted into the Longhorn Hall of Honor in 1996 and was named an honorary member of the T Association, the Silver Spurs Alumni Association, and the Texas Cowboys. He further distinguished himself as a member of the American Bandmasters Association, the College Band Directors National Association, and the American Society of Composers, Arrangers, and Performers, and he was selected as the 2011 Bandmaster of the Year by the Texas Bandmasters Association. And whereas an inspiring mentor for countless young musicians, Vince DiNino helped transform the Longhorn Band into the world-class show band of the Southwest, and he leaves behind a legacy that will continue to resonate at UT for many years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives of the 84th Texas Legislature hereby pay tribute to the life of Vincent Reardon DiNino and extend sincere condolences to the members of his family, to his wife, Timothy Ann Sloan DiNino, to his daughters, Dina Reeves and her husband, Mike, Carmen Alspach and her husband, Rick, to his grandson, Charlie Ward, to his stepsons, Michael Sloan and his wife, Dana, Todd Sloan and his wife Beth, Patrick Sloan, Geof Sloan Sr. and his wife Mary Ann, and Matthew Sloan, and to his other relatives and many friends. And be it further resolved that an official copy of this resolution be prepared for his family, and that when the Texas House of Representatives adjourns this day, it do so in memory of Vincent DiNino.
The chair recognizes Representative Gonzales.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today we have a celebration of life of a true legend on the 40 acres. Joining us today on the dais are Mrs. Timothy Sloan DiNino, wife, Mrs. Carmen Alspach, daughter, Mr. Rick Alspach, son-in-law, Mr. Geof Sloan, stepson, and Mr. Jerry Junkin, current director of bands of the Show Band of the Southwest. It's hard to put into words what the life of Mr. DiNino meant to the University of Texas at Austin and to the Show Band of the Southwest. Here's how I will relate it to my non-band members. Vincent R. DiNino is our Darrell Royal. He is our Cliff Gustafson, and he is our Jody Conrad. Members, band kids are good kids. There's a discipline and a commitment and a dedication and an appreciation for teamwork and respect for others you learn while you're in a marching band. But these life skills need to be molded, nourished, and encouraged. And that's what our teachers do, including our directors of bands. Mr. DiNino was a teacher. His life and his efforts and the values he shared with his students have had a generational reach, creating decades of students who have gone on to be leaders in their fields across the globe. He taught those who taught the next, and who are still today teaching his lessons. The Longhorn Band is an incredible organization. I had the pleasure of representing this group for a few years, playing trumpet in stadiums across the old Southwest Conference. It was 24 years ago in Longhorn Band I met a beautiful, smart, and funny girl I eventually convinced to marry me. Our daughter today marches in the Round Rock High School Band. Members, they tell you your freshman year at University of Texas Longhorn Band that your future spouse is sitting in that room. You just don't know it yet. So I start looking around the room, and of course, no one's making eye contact with me. But it's a very true story. In 1994, Marie and I were the 7th Longhorn Band couple to get married that year. I tell you that story and the story of my family because it is the story of hundreds, maybe even thousands of families that Mr. DiNino has touched. His legacy and what he means to those who played in the show band is truly, truly unquantifiable. I want to say publicly, thank you to the DiNino family for sharing Vincent with us. Thank you for doing what you do to ensure young guys like me have the opportunity to learn his lessons. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
Members, this is a memorial resolution. All those in favor, please rise. The resolution is unanimously adopted.
Representative Darby, Representative Howard, Representative Darby, and Representative Nashek.
Representative Darby, Representative Nashek, move to add all members' names.
Objection.
Are there any objections? Chair hears none. So ordered. The chair recognizes Representative Burkett.
Good morning, members. I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider House Resolution 636.
Is there objection to the suspension of the rules? The chair hears none, and the rules are suspended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today we are resolving to make this Bulk Springs Day at the state capitol.